when I walk into people's homes and I see lots of clutter, especially in corners, or like if I open up closets and things are piling down, like we were talking about earlier, how everything's energy, those stockpiles of these clutters, these dusty corners, it represents basically your mental state. It really does. So sometimes you've got to get rid of that first before you could start feeling better energetically in your own body.
Oh, well, hello, and welcome back to the Terri Cole Show. Such a fun interview for you today. This is one of my friends. Her name is Sabrina Soto. She is a frequent flyer on the Terri Cole Show. I love her so much. She is an incredibly engaging and vivacious personality. I was super drawn to her after being on her podcast. She's so inviting. She's so warm. She's been featured on Today, Live with Kelly and Ryan, Good Morning America, Rachel Ray. She's done it all. So she is a host, various HGTV shows. She has one on right now. She was on the High Low Project, Design Star, Real Estate Intervention, and Get It Sold. Those are a couple of the ones she's been on. She's made guest appearances everywhere, but she's really a design expert. That's how I met her on her show, where she talks about design, but she also talks about life, and she talks about her life. Her show right now is on CBS Primetime. It's Secret Celebrity Renovation, and it's so much fun. It's like a total feel-good show. And I wanted Sabrina to come back on and talk a little bit about the power of decluttering. And then we talked about everything personal as well, because really we're friends. So it's a bit of a girlfriend jam, but it's also about how she manifested the career that she has. And then I wanted her to give us some tips on how can we, spring cleaning and all, declutter, because I'm not the neatest person on planet Earth, me personally. I mean, I'm not a total disaster, but I'm not that neat. And she's giving us a PDF. You go to sabrinasoto.com and you can sign up for her newsletter and get a downloadable PDF, which is going to help you walk through the process of just decluttering your house in a way that you can actually do. So I'm super excited. I'm going to download mine right now. I really hope that you guys enjoy my interview with Sabrina as much as I loved having her on the show. I'm super excited to welcome my friend Sabrina Soto back to the Terri Cole Show. Welcome back. You're a frequent flyer, Sabrina.
Terri, I'm so excited that I can call you my friend, but you got to see me in my pajamas this morning. That's
yes,
how much
I
of a
did.
friend.
That is correct. All right, so let's do it. People were asking questions from the last time that you were on about how you got to do what you do.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to have Sabrina back on, because here's the thing. I'm obsessed with your social media. You know this. I'm like, stalk you endlessly. I cannot believe the things you come up with to organize, to simplify for children, for normal people, for everybody. Like, does your brain ever rest is my first question.
No.
Are you always thinking of ways?
Well, it's kind of goes to what you do. It's half that I love and it's my passion, but it's half because of my kind of screwed up childhood of needing to control something in my life. So I chose my environment. And when I was a kid, my sister could tell you, she'd be out like playing with friends and doing sports, and I would be in my room organizing the National Geographics in chronological order, just to have everything in this perfect sense in my, organizing my room. And I'm sure looking back, my parents were like, how cute. But now I look back and I'm like, that's so screwed up, Well,
it's something you could do, though. So part of the thing is, we would call it, from a therapeutic point of view, adaptive functioning, because you could have been acting out that lack of control, and you were, but you were doing it in a way that was perceived as productive.
Right. And so I've created a whole career out of it, but I really do walk in a space and I see things like a puzzle. Even when I'm at a friend's house or I'm at a restaurant, I can see the way things are arranged and I see how things should be changed. And I can visually see it. It's very bizarre. And even when I open up drawers, I can see where there's room and, where the space isn't being utilized correctly.
I love it. You're like, it's like a superpower. But let's go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
So tell us, how did your TV career start? How did you get into doing what you're doing?
It's a crazy answer, and it'll show the power of manifestation, because I found my HGTV job in 2006 on Craigslist. And it happened, I spoke about this on social media for the first time a few weeks ago. And it happened in a way that is so magical that there is no other way to describe it rather than the universe was aligning me into where I was ready to be at the time. And that's not to say that I was ready for the opportunity, because I don't think I was per se. Like I couldn't call myself an expert in design, but I was so sure that I was going to be back on television doing something creative, that the opportunity came to me through a Craigslist ad. And I was fortunate enough to then kind of find my chops throughout the way. But it was because I watched the documentary, The Secret, Terri. Like, that was it. I watched it the day before I had found the job on Craigslist.
That's so wild. Let's talk about The Secret for a minute, because I know lots of people, and even people in my life, poo-poo it. But I have to tell you quickly my own experience of The Secret. I watched it in 2008, maybe 2007. And I'm telling you, it changed my life.
Yes.
And I was so blown away. Like, I knew this was how it was. Like, I couldn't believe it was confirmation of what I'd hoped was true, that if I would put out in the universe what I wanted, if I could feel the feelings of having it, if I would hold on to that vision long enough, that the universe was conspiring in my favor, that I was guiding the universe with my desire, but also with my belief. Because you very specifically just said, Sabrina, I knew I was going to be back on TV doing something creative, doing something design-wise, doing something that I loved.
Yeah.
But it's almost like that vibe is the thing that was the hook. You know, if we believe in the laws of attraction, and I really do, although I don't talk about it that much on the show because I'm a psychotherapist, so I'm talking more about that.
Right.
But in my life, for sure, I believe that I attract the experiences to me by believing that I can, or that I will, even if I don't know how.
Correct. Because it's like, Mike Dooley talks about this all the time. He was one of the teachers on The Secret of don't worry about how. And I'm a Capricorn. I'm a Cuban Capricorn from New Jersey. I worry about all the hows. And for the first time, he taught me to not worry about that, because that's what would trip me up. I would say, well, I don't have the connections. I don't know this person. I'm not, I don't look like that, or I'm too old, or whatever, like fill in the blank of whatever your obstacles are. But when I let go of the how and just worried about what I wanted, everything opened up for me. And Mike Dooley talks about this, like, the universe has better plans than you do. Like, that's cute that you think you know the right way, but they let the universe, and that could be Jesus or whomever, your higher power that you believe in. But, you take care of your vibration and your energetics, and the rest will come to you. And it is true that people do poo-poo it, but I felt the same way when I watched it. It was in 2006, and that was before it was on Oprah. Like, I had to pay $4.95 to watch it online. But when I saw it, something clicked inside of me, like, oh yes, almost like it was reaffirming something that I already knew, but also how exciting that you have the power to change your life. When for so many years I was under the thought that everybody else had the sort of they were puppeteers of my future, and that's just not the case.
Right. It doesn't have to be, is the point. Let's go back to Mike Dooley for a minute, though, because I don't even know. We've been friends for a while. I don't even know if we've ever talked about our mutual. I'm obsessed with Mike Dooley.
I love Mike Dooley. Another good example of how it worked is I'm watching The Secret. It's 2006. Fast forward 14 years later, maybe 12 years later, Mike Dooley asks me to speak on one of his Solapalooza events. Like, me to get on stage at his event to talk about my life. I'm like, what? As a matter of fact, somewhere in my office here is the little plaque that he gave me. It's like wild to me. I don't know where. I just spring cleaned, which we should talk about later.
That's unbelievable. It's so funny. I was obsessed with him. So he has, the notes from the universe that every therapy client I ever had in my life started getting them the moment they would get in. I'd have an intake form, and I'm like, and also go to this website because we're going to start, this is going to be part of what we're doing. And the thing that I always thought about that Mike says is thoughts become things.
Yes.
So think the good ones,
right?
Like hold on to the good ones. Be so aware of how powerful your thoughts are. And I had a friend who used to say, words have wings.
Yes, it's true.
Like, right? The creative power of what are we saying about ourselves? What are we saying about our prospects? What are we saying about what's possible? And you shared something that's so powerful is sort of Mike Dooley giving you permission to let go of the specific how.
Yes.
That it's okay to not know, but knowing what you want is so incredibly powerful that is such an important part of this process.
100%. And for anyone who's listening who doesn't understand, Mike Dooley is a teacher, but he has these things called the Note from the Universe. If you go to his website, and I think it's tut.com, you sign up. It's free. And every morning, and I think he sends them at least for Pacific time at like 4:00 in the morning. But every morning you have this cute little, either one sentence or a small paragraph of how the universe is conspiring to help you. And it just gets me started in the right way.
Same. It's for so many years. I would repost it on Facebook. I would just those small actions, because another thing, Sabrina, I feel like, we both have, built long careers doing what it is we want to do. And it is the small daily steps. It is the keeping it at the front of my mind.
Yeah.
It is keeping the possibilities open. It is remembering that I don't need to know exactly how, and that this whole process of creating can be, for someone who's kind of type A, high functioning codependent in recovery.
Oh,
as
me?
I am.
Who, me?
Yeah. Yes, you. Yes, you, sister.
Oh, yes.
But needing, like you said, needing to know all of the hows, that alone, any of you listening, any of you watching this on YouTube, realizing you don't need to know exactly how, but know what you want. But what I love also about what Mike talks about is that he talks about what you hold in your body, what you hold in your mind, what you think about, you bring about. But yes, we're going to feel those feelings. And yes, we're going to attract those things to us as we take actions every day towards our dreams.
Right.
So he was never like, you can sit on your ass and eat bonbons
No.
and just think about what you want and it's all going to just fall into your lap like a feather. Like, that's not what he's saying.
And let me explain. So let me go back now to 2006 when I saw The Secret. Now, I sent in my information to the Craigslist ad, but I didn't hear anything back for weeks. But in between that, I started working out, Terri, like I was training for something. And I was married at the time, and my husband's like, what are you doing? Like, because I was just like, I was training almost for a marathon. And I said, I'm getting ready to be back on TV. And he thought I was nuts. Like I'd lost my mind because nobody was calling to have me on TV. The phone was not ringing, but I was getting myself ready physically and mentally so that when that phone call did come, wherever it was coming from, I would be ready for it. And I couldn't believe it. From the moment I watched The Secret to 16 weeks later, I was on set filming my first HGTV show. And one other thing is, you were talking about getting ready in the morning, or like starting your day off right. One thing I started to incorporate into my life that has changed me and the way that my day unfolds is I wake up now and I say to myself, universe, show me how good it can get. Show me how good my life can get. And every single day, just even if it's something as small as somebody handing me a flower to as big as like a big opportunity coming from work, I am just shocked at the miracles that I'm open to now, where I don't think I would have attracted them even 6 months ago.
Wow. That's amazing. I love it. I'm going to start doing that. Show me how good it could get.
Yes. It's that simple.
Yep. There's an audacity. Do you remember Obama wrote a book like The Audacity of Hope or whatever?
Yeah.
I think it takes a certain amount of courage to step outside of our comfort zone, to as Danielle Laporte would say, right? Want what you want with all your heart.
Yes.
And to put your stake in the ground and kind of be like, yeah,
It's
this is what I
scary.
want.
It's scary. I saw somebody to posted a meme. Social media can be the pits, but social media can also be amazing if you curate it the right way. But a friend of mine posted something about staying in your comfort zone because it's just, it feels, even if you're miserable in a job or a relationship, a friendship, whatever, sometimes just staying there, it just even feels more comfortable than stepping out of the shit pen, if I can say shit here. I just said it twice, so
You can.
I guess I can because I said it twice. But if it's getting out of that is scary as hell. But once you past the uncomfortable part, it is so overwhelmingly beautiful and exciting, but it is hard to take that first step. Trust me, anybody who's listening, I have been there. I have been there, especially when it comes to romantic relationships. Don't get me started.
Mm-hmm.
But I understand the feeling of what is familiar is comforting, even if you're not happy.
Yep. Me too. And the thing is, there comes a point, like there has to be a pivot point, I feel like, in people's lives where you go, am I willing to feel this way for longer than I'm already
Yes.
feeling this way? Like
Yes.
how long am I willing to feel this way? And the fear gets less when the pain of staying the same becomes more than the fear of changing. And that's like a famous quote from someone else, but it's very true.
Yeah, of course. And I know how hard it is to take that first step, but I journal, and I highly recommend it to anybody who's listening. It is for me the most therapeutic thing I could do on a daily basis. And it's like venting for me. It's like I purge. But I was reading old journals, Terri, when I was going through this breakup years ago. And I want to wring that girl's neck and be like, what are you doing? Like, what?
Yep.
But I wish I could go back and tell her, get rid of this sooner. But, obviously hindsight's 2020. But yes, I get it. It's like, how long are you willing to stay here? And what I've noticed in my life is when I work on myself and my self-esteem goes up, I'm less tolerant of the manure that I'm going to sit in any longer.
Yep. It's so true, because you realize, because there is a worthiness piece, Sabrina, to what we're talking about. Like, what do I believe I deserve?
Right.
What do I believe I deserve? And I remember when I was in a relationship in my 20s and we were together and we were kind of madly in love, but it was super codependent and it was like a crazy thing. I worked at a talent agency and he was the intern in the music department. So like I literally had to go to my boss and be like, me and so-and-so are moving in together. And he was like, oh, like roommates? And I was like, well, not exactly. And he literally said, wait, you're fucking the intern?
Oh.
Like, pardon my French, people. That's what my boss said to my face. I was like,
you're like, yeah, I am.
I wouldn't have said it that way, but I was like,
you're like, I'm making love to the intern.
But needless to say, no one really understood this relationship with someone who was so much younger than me and so different than me and blah, blah, blah. But when I was needing to get out of that relationship, it was so hard because I so didn't want to hurt this person, but being stuck and feeling trapped and feeling trapped. And what happens is if you don't handle it, if you don't listen to your feelings, because I just couldn't deal with it, I couldn't do it, then you hit a tipping point where you're like, and I have to leave right now.
Right.
Like it was 2 a.m. on a Tuesday. I was in my pajamas carrying my pillow, literally borrowed $20 from him to take a cab to my sister's. It was 2 a.m.
Wow.
Like not my finest hour.
Yeah.
Like for sure.
Yeah, Terri. maybe we could have dealt with that in a different way, but I mean, whatever.
But here's the thing. I couldn't.
Yeah.
I waited too long. And back to what we're saying, like, how long will you feel this way? I always say to my clients, like when I know they're about to like step out on their marriage or, they want to get out of their relationship, but they can't. And then suddenly something else is happening. And I'm like, it doesn't have to go down like this, but sometimes it does.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes you just need to make the move and you don't have the skills to make it the way that you want to. But anyway, bringing that all the way back around to...
I mean, I could talk about that for hours.
For hours and days. But bringing it back to what you're saying, that the self-esteem piece, and really the whole point of even telling that intern story was that I valued and feared how he felt more than I cared about how unsatisfied I felt and about what my feelings were. And there was a worthiness thing in there. Of course, all that is connected to codependency, where you're prioritizing the thoughts, needs, desires of others above yourself, because that's what I thought love meant.
Right.
And really, when you get down to it, and of course, many years of therapy later, obviously, staying with someone you're not in love with is not love. It's just fear. But it was almost like I would stay in that other person's reality to avoid the uncomfortable conversation until I could no longer avoid the overwhelming feeling of being unhappy and having to get out.
Or it's the feeling of being stuck somewhere because you fear, there's the scarcity mindset of fearing that there's not going to be anything better. And that could be a job. I mean, that you've been in for so many years that you're like, well, it's a good job. It's a 9 to 5. I know where my paycheck's coming from. Yeah, I hate going there every day, but everybody's like looking for work right now. It's like you could talk yourself into staying for a million, in a million ways, but it is having, like, how long? 10 years from now, are you going to still be in that job, still be clocking in and being absolutely miserable? It's like, but when I have worked on my own self-esteem, and I've had self-esteem issues, all of my life, I have realized that my tolerance level is really a lot lower than it used to be. And it just keeps getting better and better.
Which is so amazing, because part of the thing with having better self-esteem, Sabrina, right, is there's this ability to be more honest with other people. There's less people pleasing.
Yes.
There's less seeking approval. And so now we start attracting people and sort of resonating and vibing with people who can respect that, who go, oh, okay, so you would rather eat earlier because you have an early day tomorrow? Fine. Okay, we can do that. Instead of either silently suffering and being pissed off about it, right? Being like, well, this person is so inconsiderate. I have an early day tomorrow. I don't know why they're trying to make me have dinner at 9 p.m. Or, you know what I mean?
Right. Boundaries.
Right. Communication, just telling the truth. But again, what we're doing is we're signaling, again, this is where the universe conspires in our favor, or maybe it's simply the energetic nature of human beings, right? We're putting out a message of an energetic vibe into the universe.
Absolutely.
And what happens, right? You see this in your life from what you're sharing, is, that energetic vibe has little hooks on it.
That's right.
And it goes out and hooks like things and then brings those things back into our lives.
Absolutely. And I know a lot of people who are listening might be rolling their eyes when it's about the energies, but it's not woo-woo. It's actual science. It is science. We are energy. We are energetic beings. We are energy. That our homes are energy. Everything is. And so I'm sure anybody who's listening has been at a party and somebody walks in the room and you're like, I don't know. You feel it. It's because we all have an energetic sphere around us that can attract or detract people.
It's absolutely true. And the science that you're talking about is, we're literally looking at the fact that molecules, what is hard matter is simply molecules moving super duper fast.
Right.
So there really is no hard matter, right? This is from a science point of view. And trust me, I'm not a scientist and I probably said it wrong, but you guys know what we're talking about.
Yes. You said it right.
You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I wanted to ask you, I mean, we could just have this girlfriend jam for the rest of the session.
I know.
Or
why don't I just be on the podcast every single week?
I love it. I would love it. It would be what we do normally, except we would do it live.
It's true.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about like what you're known for.
Yes.
Many things. You're a very energetic and vivacious host, different shows, design is your expertise. You've got your own podcast where you talk about all things on your podcast.
I do.
It's all different things. But where you've helped me so much is that I am not a naturally well-organized person. I'm not a total shit show, but I'm not naturally, I don't think of clever ways of doing something better. And you are the queen. So I want to know from your perspective, not necessarily how to do it, but when people's external space is cluttered, disorganized, has piles everywhere, how do you think, in your experience, because you've helped many people do this, how does this impact people's mental health, mental space?
I've worked on hundreds and hundreds of shows, and even the producers that work with me now are always shocked when I walk into a house for the first time. I could most likely pinpoint what's going on in their lives mentally. And it's like I'm a psychic designer, but when I walk into people's homes and I see lots of clutter, especially in corners, or like if I open up closets and things are piling down, like we were talking about earlier, how everything's energy, those stockpiles of these clutters, these dusty corners, it represents basically your mental state. It really does. So sometimes you've got to get rid of that first before you could start feeling better energetically in your own body. So it could be as simple as taking care of the clutter in the corners that you visibly can see first. Forget about the closets. We'll get to that another time. But just those piles of magazines or piles of junk mail, look at your nightstand. It's actually been proven if you have clutter underneath your bed or on your nightstand or underneath your nightstand, you're more likely to have nightmares and have problems sleeping. So again, it's not woo-woo, it is science. There is research to back this up. So getting rid of the clutter in your home really does free up your energy. You'll start realizing you want to have naps less. You feel more energetic. You feel more hopeful. So getting rid of the visible clutter first, if that's all I can have you do this weekend, great. Then we can get to the rest of it. But I actually put together a whole worksheet for people. So if they go to sabrinasoto.com, and I'll give you the link, people can get a whole PDF worksheet of just the exercises I want you to do to help free up the energy in your home. And then at the end, when you get through all the steps, I do the little extras like saging your house, which I'm a huge fan of, smudging a house to free up the energy in the space. But just get rid of the visual clutter first. Do that this weekend.
Oh my God, I cannot wait to get the PDF because I have to say, as much as I try, I still have visual clutter. And it does distract me and I don't like it. And if I have too many magazines, because I'm such a magazine reader, like if they're building up, it makes me absolutely crazy. Like I can feel the heaviness of clutter in my house. And it's funny, my Vic and I, my husband, he's a bit of a clutter bug too. So I feel like he's worse than I am. And I don't know why, but of course his clutter really bothers me more than mine does, obviously. But I will get to a point where if there's too much mail, I can't stand mail, just everywhere. Like why?
Yeah.
Just stop. Every day. He'll take the important things out of the mail and put it on the kitchen counter. Same day, because I'm going to wipe down the counter anyway. I take the same thing and put it back on the same pile. And then if we have people coming or something's happening, I'll just take all the piles and put them in a shopping bag and put it upstairs where his work area is.
Just to get out of the way.
Like, you have to go through all this crap. But again, for him, I feel like if you looked at his studio, it's, he's an artist and fine, and he's got a lot of space. But I think he probably could use the PDF too.
Yeah. And well, you were saying it starts accumulating and it becomes these piles. You were talking even how you love magazines. I used to have a client who was the same way. She loved looking at magazines, but that pile of magazines actually caused her so much anxiety because as much as she loved looking at magazines, she doesn't have time to, and they started piling up. And it just made her even more and more anxious. Like, oh, I have to get through those. Oh, I have to go look through. It's like, no, it's not causing you joy anymore. It's not sparking your joy. And like Marie says, but like, get rid of that stuff, go to the Kindle version. And then when you get to it, but in Dick's like mail pile, it's having one day a week where you go through everything instead of waiting at the end of the month. And the pile is so big that it causes too much pressure. So finding that day of the week that you just go, okay, I'm just going to get through this shit now.
Yep. And not letting it pile up. I think that that is part of the key. And I also, my sister's assisting me. And so that helps too, having someone else who she's literally every week comes in, cleans out my refrigerator, just does stuff that I'm like, I just don't have the bandwidth. I'm writing a book. Like I can't do all of the things.
Yeah.
I can do some of the things, but I can't do all of the things. So I feel like it's also okay to, source it out.
Absolutely. If you can afford it, great. If you can't afford it, find a schedule that works for you and do it little by little. And just, again, it's if you do it little by little, there aren't going to be this big piles of stuff that you have to take care of at the end of the month. And that doesn't just go for clutter, that goes for issues in your life completely. Take care of little things here and there so nothing in your life piles up.
It's so true, because when you think about resentment, like I will say to my clients about boundaries and about speaking up and asserting yourself, that I'll ask them, do you ever wait too long to make a boundary? And then when the time comes, you just explode like a volcano instead of like calmly make the request. And of course, clients are like, yes, all the time. And I'm like, this is the same theory that someone has this theory that if you're walking through your kitchen and there's like a thread on the floor that you see, and you're like, yeah, I should pick that up, but I'll get it later, right? That is taking bandwidth from you. Like when you see it, bend down, pick it up, throw it out.
Yes.
Like just stop putting it on a to-do list. Like just bend down and do it right
True.
now.
It's like plucking your eyebrows. It's easier to pluck 1 or 2 hairs every day than to go get the whole damn thing hot waxed, because that hurts. So just pluck the hairs.
It's so true. Just a little at a time is good. And it's the same thing with asserting yourself. Say it now.
Yeah.
Say it right now. Tell the truth now. You can do it lovingly. Say it before you're so pissed that you're going to like eviscerate the person from whatever it is that they did. So for you, tell us a little bit about like what is next for you? What is happening?
I have so much going on. I'm leaving on Sunday. We just started the 3rd season of Secret Celebrity Renovation for CBS. I have a new show coming out on Roku that we start. I know, it's so exciting. It's about organizing. And then I have a new organizational line that's coming out January of next year that I'm working on all the prototypes now. So I'm doing that. And my podcast, and I'm working on writing a book too, which is so exciting. So I have, and of course, Olivia, my amazing 7-year-old. So I'm like a clown juggling over here.
But it's all so good. And it's stuff that you've wanted to do, a lot of it for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for you. Like, it's just so, it's like a perfect time in your life for these things to be coming together. And I'm so excited. I want you to come back on the show every single week. So
done. I'm going to make this a standing appointment, Terry.
All right. One last question for you. Personally, to date, what has been your most challenging boundary struggle, and how have you overcome it, if you have?
Personally, my boundary struggle, I've actually been really good with personal boundaries lately. And as a matter of fact, lately my friends have said that they've been really shocked how much I don't want to participate in gossiping anymore. So that's my newest boundary that I'm implementing with my conversations with friends. Of the constant venting and gossiping about other people, I don't want to participate anymore. So that would be the latest boundary that I'm implementing in my life.
I love it. I love it. And people deal with it, right?
Yeah.
Like they respect it. They manage it. We think that we're going to be, I don't know what you thought, but in putting any new boundary in place, there's always like a fear of like, are they judging me, or am I not one of the girls anymore? Am I like, or they think I'm holier than thou or whatever. But what you find out is that you draw a boundary and people go, okay, I guess we're not talking about Betty in front of Sabrina. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's funny. One of my friends, when she starts to do it, she'll go, I know, you don't want, forget it. And it's like funny now because I don't want to participate, because it's just, what I was talking about earlier, for me, I'm working so hard, and this is going to sound so hippie and like I'm eating granola, but I want to keep my vibes high, because I am at a place in my life where I am single and I want to attract new opportunities and new people in my life. So it's important for me to keep my vibration and my magnetism high, and I will protect that no matter what.
Yes. And here's the thing about gossiping, is the last thing I want to say about this. It's a drag. Like, and I always, in the book, I give different scripts where people can say, oh, when people start to gossip, oh no, not for me. I'm on a negativity fast, so I'm not going to be participating.
Yeah.
Or even something as simple as, oh, please tell me we have something better to talk about than Betty and her man problems. Come on. Tell me about your new apartment.
Right.
Tell me about your job.
Right.
Tell me about you. How are you? I'm not interested in talking about Betty. But we can do it in a way that's not super confronting, not super judging the other person, but again, protecting your energetic boundaries, because that's what you're talking about. It because when you gossip, you're leaking energy. And when you do not
Yes.
partake, you're holding on to and calling back your power,
I am protecting. I've got shields of of protecting my energy and my power and my like magnetism.
I love it.
Whatever it takes, Terri, whatever it takes.
That's awesome. So where can people get the PDF so that they can start decluttering their visual clutter?
Yes, go to sabrinasoto.com. And then, of course, just follow me on Sabrina_Soto on Instagram or Sabrina Soto, Facebook and Twitter.
Yes, my friend. Thank you so much for being here. I love you so much. I appreciate everything you're doing in the world.
Thank you, Terri.